All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Monday, December 7th. Happy Monday. Well, I would say theme of the day for the day was, the averages were kind of quiet this morning. They were basically kind of chopped around. We'll probably start there in today's video and just recap that a little bit. But you could see that the Qs outperformed. They were up 0.5% for the day. They rallied the most too. I've got that highlighted there. Small caps, not much of movement out of there for the day, and even in the overnight session as well. Bonds were strong today, so you kind of had a couple weird moves for the day, but bonds snapped back. Remember, they were weak, very weak last week, and in particular on Friday. Gold and silver were both stronger today, and that was one of your best performing. I think actually the best performing sector of the day was the gold miners today. GDXJ, which I don't have on my sheet, but the junior gold miners were up 4% for the day. And do I have the silver miners on my sheet? I don't have the silver miners on my sheet, but those were also up 3.4% for the day. Home builders, maybe a little bit of a relief bounce there with the move in rates. Remember that when interest rates go down, when bonds go up, interest rates go down, and that's generally good for the home builders. We saw that too last week. There was one day where bonds rallied last week, and the home builders did the same thing. They acted pretty well. Utilities were up today too. They rallied a little bit. Solar, clean energy. Remember, those were amongst the worst performing groups last week after a huge run. We started to see some momentum come back in a few different areas within clean energy. So, kind of interesting there. There were some trades that were worked pretty well, I think, for the day. FANG stocks, they did okay for the day. Internet up 0.5% there as well. And then if we get to the underperformers, you have energy, which gave back a good portion of, they were really hot on Friday, so they gave back some of those gains, down 3.3%. Pot stocks, they were an underperformer today, down close to 2% for the day. You can see energy mixed in there. Materials, some of the value areas, I would say. This was a little bit more, just a touch, stronger performance and growth. You could see growth up about 40 basis points, and value names down a little bit, right? A little bit. But for the sectors and so forth, it was a little bit quieter, but again, we're still seeing some momentum in certain areas of the market. I wrote down a couple names up here. Tesla, for example, which I think I talked about that as a trade. I gave you a trade idea for that this morning. Which worked pretty well. I mentioned buying a weekly call spread and selling a put spread. That seemed to work out too. And SPCE, what a move in this name today, up huge, as more people are lining up to go to space to get away from COVID. That's the main. No, I'm just kidding. Just huge day there, up 17%. Note that VPOC is taken out. So, I get this question a lot on Twitter for those who don't follow me that often. But I could show you what this means just a little bit because it's a little bit of a lighter news day today. But if I turn this on, which is the market profile, where am I going here? Value areas, show Venom pivots. Where do I have this? How come I don't have this in here? Show labels, automatic. Show value areas, yes. Show profile. All right, so let's turn the profile on. So where this has come from, right? This red line that I've got across is from all the way back here. And it's kind of like, leaving a, what do they say sometimes? Leaving a dead body behind, right? So, we had this huge peak back in the beginning of last year. And, notice that this value area, all this volume, price never passed through this value area for the month of March, right? Which was based on February's price action. So when this happens, the market remembers it. and it will often return back to here, like this one, right? This was the same thing. Down here, you can notice that price, right? See, price was above this value area, never even went inside this value area, similar to here. So on the downside, this became significant, right? Price took it out, and there was a nice reversal off of it. You get a nice reversal VPOC off of this one. Will this be the same? We don't know yet. But how I normally use this when we do see a virgin point of control being taken out is to take profits. On a portion. Again, it doesn't have to be on all the trade, but literally price will come and seek this out. I'll give you another example of this. This is a trade. This is my first trade exit of the day. This is Chipotle. Now, Chipotle did fine today, finished at 1347. So we have to see if we go to the 1 hour time frame. Notice that this is how I plan this swing trade to this virgin point of control, right? And again, and if you're not familiar with this indicator, this is our own proprietary indicator that we've developed over the years. Now, this particular one on the 1 hour time frame, price was able to kind of get above. So, it's not 100% certainty. If there's good volume, price is going to be able to get above it. But this was my target, and we'll see what Chipotle does from here. So if we go into the news, right? So when I put this trade on originally, that was the last target that. If I have it up here, did I take a target on this on Friday? 1320, but I think I must have put this in the notes somewhere in here in the trades. But I said, yeah, so I got out at 1345. We'll see what it does from here. Again, I got in at 1304, so that's somewhere down here. So I think that's a good exit. So I'll continue to watch Chipotle, but I think a good exit. I'll go through the rest of my trades while I'm at it, and then we'll talk a little bit about the averages. But interesting, that spikes. We'll see what that does, right? A ton of call activity today. We've been seeing call activity in that name, for the last week or so. But yeah, NVTA. This was one of our watch list setup trades. Right, so every weekend, I talked about that on Friday, of course, that over the weekend, I do research, look for, as many setups where I can find where things are just, names are setting up pretty decently using the Market Web's indicator, right? So looking for breaking out of ranges. So interesting, this did not close on the highs. This has been the trouble with this stock from time to time. Every time I trade this stock, I just know to take some targets, and I took a target at 57. Hey, that's fine. Even if that's all I get on this trade, right? That trade, I took multiple targets in this, but the stock's was up 10% today, so that's fine for a 1 day trade. To take a chunk of this off at 57, paying 52, you got to be pretty happy with that for a 1 day trade. A couple other things, like I took some decent targets from trades that I put on last week. I mentioned the Chipotle. Pure Storage was a nice one as well. A new one that we've been seeing some call accumulation is this VLDR. Right. So notice that there's no VPOC, right? That's right around here. So again, in my trades, and you can see the volume pick up on this thing, right? I'm looking for the path of least resistance. I'm looking for moves out of congestion, or a word that I use all the time is consolidation. Once I get that move, so a lot of what we're doing is setting alerts, right? We're setting alerts. I said earlier that if this thing broke out of value, I would take the trade, and nice move. I think this thing is up a little bit after hours too. It's up to 1920 afterwards, so some nice continuation. Again, look at the volume there, really nice on the breakout. That's what I want to see on a break higher. And then we've got some things to target. Another question I get besides the virgin point of control. So again, here's another one, right? Look at the volume profile. Right, so the point of control is where the most amount of volume has had occurred in a day, right, for the last period. So this one back in October is based on this volume profile that you see shaded in the back here, right? Notice how price has not passed through this. That's why it's not only called a point of control; it's called a virgin point of control, right? So, as price gets closer to it, there will be more of a magnetic force. For now, considering that's far away, there's some other targets to look at. 1983, great year by the way, is what's called R1 Venom, and then you have 2411, which is R2 Venom, right? So these are extensions away from the value area. Again, they become what we call, not road stops, but we call them like little pauses in price action that we see from time to time. Again, it's an extension away from the value area. So again, the value area covers roughly a standard deviation of the price action in the previous period, right? Which we find becomes very significant for support and resistance. Once we break through that, then we're looking for speed bumps. I'm sorry, that was the term that I was using for it. So we got a speed bump here at 1983 and then 2411. Again, great place to plan out your trades. What we do at Tribeca Trade Group is we look at this before we enter a trade and say, hey, where do I want this? Where can this thing get to? Where can this stock, where can whatever we're looking at, future ETF, where could it get to? So 1983 would be the next level on the daily chart, 24, and then of course this virgin point of control would be a great place. But what caught my attention in this name is option activity that we started to see, I believe, last week. And once I see that repeat activity, then I begin to kind of do a little bit more research, especially in a name that I hadn't heard of before last week. All right, so VLDR is another one. I traded, just reviewing some of my trades for the day. There was such momentum in the first, and what we're seeing in terms of the call activity, which I've talked about before. Right? Do I have this up? This is the overall call activity that we were seeing on the tape. Notice it's been much higher than we've seen in the last couple months. So, and it continues to trend higher. But I've talked about how we're seeing just a lot of aggressive activity. So this was one trade that just doing overall portfolio management, and I took this trade in case you followed me in this one. This is BIGC, another commerce company. It actually looks fine. Now notice you kind of got a similar setup here, a breakout of value. It's a newer name, so I think this is the 50-day moving average that's coming in here. A little bit undecided, right? So you could target this 91 virgin point of control. Again, you see price, right? Here's the volume profile, and notice how price has not moved through this. So if you like this name, you could use, easy enough, a stop of say 79.90, and then shoot for this virgin point of control up here at right around $92. All right, so even if I note that I did take this trade off right at the end of the day, again, just overall portfolio management. Somebody asked me earlier, they said, when the market gets a bit overbought and we're seeing sentiment this hot, do you buy puts here or what do you do? I generally try to be cognizant of that and make sure that I'm really paying attention to overall portfolio risk. So sometimes I do take off trades even though they haven't, triggered a sell signal or a stop or anything like that. TSEM, we caught a couple targets in this one. I hit my first one on Friday, hit another one today. Notice that this one took out the virgin point of control and just kept on going, which is exactly what I wanted to see. We got another one up here to aim for up at $31. Pure Storage, a name that we sent out a trade idea on Friday. PSTG. Continuation in this one too. Right, so nice move. We talked about how bullish I thought the weekly chart was in this one, and even though I'm kind of looking at a little bit of a longer view in Pure Storage, considering it's up that much in 2 days, I took my first target in this today. Again, this is the value area for 2020. First time that Pure Storage is above that. Candy was a nice little day trade. I'll tell you how I traded this one as well. So just reviewing some of these trades. Again, some of these, I noticed that there was short-term momentum in the EV space, and I just was basically just targeting the top of value on the 1 hour. Right. So again, another way that you could use the value area. Notice this value area from last week. Right. Here's the volume profile from last week. And when you put a standard deviation around that, roughly a standard deviation, this is what you get. And look at how well that acted for today, right? So that's where I took my trade off. Uh, for some reason, I thought I was closer to that. I think maybe I missed 10, but I got 972. All right, one other trade that I liked, and again, this looks similar in a few different names, but this one didn't work, right? Not everyone's going to work, and that's why I like to go over ones that not to just go over the winners, but I have not hit my stop in this one, but maybe a little bit of a false move. Let's go to the daily chart first. Sometimes this happens. A move higher, kind of a false move. Maybe it's just not ready, right? This is a Chinese ADR company where it made this nice breakout, right? It is a little bit of a newer name. Pulled back, into the 5-period moving average, 20-day moving average. There's support down here at 38, but hopefully that it doesn't go down that far. And it started to make a move. Now there's a virgin point of control up here, but this is also how you use these. That's not active. We don't have to worry. I don't have to aim for that, or it's not in play, I should say, if we're in value for the period. Notice that we were outside of value. You got a false break and a break back inside. Now, this did not hit my stop, so I'm sticking with it. But it's pretty darn close. So if we break back below 42, so first of all, the buy signal has been minimized, right? Because we got back inside value, and now I would really don't want to see this thing go below 42. That would be my stop price. So we'll see. We'll give this one a little bit, maybe another day. If it breaks below 42, I'll get out of it. That'll be my stop. But again, it's just how trades work. Some of them work. Some of them don't, and you have to manage it, right? So we'll see how this ends up for tomorrow. But this was another name that saw a little bit of call activity today, too. Again, that's what kind of turned my eye to it. All right, guys. A few other trades that we saw, and I have yet to go over the averages, so I will do that. But if we go to the option activity, just to let you know what we kind of saw today. A couple of things. I have to check open interest on Square and Shop. But a lot, of course, there was an end of day trade and now. I don't know if they were buying service now because Coop reported. Coop is up to 338 out of value there on the 1 hour. Also nice earnings from, was it Smartsheet is up to 71. So very nice touch off the top of value there, by the way, and a move higher. Yeah, so a couple of those trades. PDD, I have to check those too. I'm watching this one. Right, this was a name that did very well on earnings. Let's look at the daily chart just to give you a couple trade ideas. 152, a breakout of value. Now I know, if it does that, you'll miss, $6. So it's kind of one of those things where if you want to start a trade here, and then just make sure that you use a hard a stop price, maybe just inside value. So maybe 154. And then hopefully it will trigger on the daily chart, right? Because it is above value on the 1 hour. It's just not above value on the daily. At this point, between 147 and 152.60, that's a place even where you could take a target and then possibly look for a break higher in PDD. But good option flow in this one today. Square, Shop, I mentioned, here's the FUTU. These were the May 75 calls. So again, they went out pretty far for this one. We saw a little bit of Riot and Mara, which I refer to this as a wine, but no, it's a blockchain company. I try to trade in this one and back to, again, I'm being very cognizant of risk here with the market getting a little bit more overbought. Uranium plays, we saw UUUU. We also saw CCJ calls. Again, momentum in those names. Here was the BIGC that I saw earlier in the day. Was there open interest on these trades? I'll have to check that. I think there was a little bit of, open interest 1900. So let me just oops. There we go. If I put a pencil next to it, I'll remember to check the open interest. All right, and then finally, it's one of the things that I usually do in the beginning of the video, but S&P. So is there any, you know, did we lose anything today? Not really. A lot of chop. Notice, and these are levels that I send out every morning in our pre-morning, pre-market S&P roadmap email. And you know, we hit the top of value and got rejected here right around 10, 11 o'clock. So again, I send this video, the email out every day with levels to kind of position around, right? So how that should help, right? If you're a new member and you're receiving this email and you're like, geez, I don't know what to do with this. He's got 3 different time frames. They're just levels to say, you know, if you're looking to establish a long, you want to see price get above and not get stymied at the top of value. And then if you're looking for, you know, if it's a day where, for instance, like we're starting down here and you know that we've got resistance at 3688, that's a place where you want to be taking profits rather than adding new trades. That's basically how I use it, right? As a good guide to where I want to be, you know, pressing and where I want to be cognizant that there's resistance right in front of us. I think sometimes if you kind of use a little bit of that blueprint or roadmap that I like to call it, you could figure out, you know, where it's where the risk reward is a little bit more beneficial versus where you kind of want to be, you know, waiting a little bit and seeing if we can turn the corner. So, for example, my view on this 1 hour chart, and I use the 1 hour chart a lot in my analysis. If you're looking for a continuation to the upside, you know, for the overall market, right? The market will look better, or there'll be more upside participation if we can break through 3688 and a quarter. If we can't get through there, it may not be the end of the world, but it may just mean we're more of in a congestion zone, more in consolidation, probably less opportunities when the market's a bit more choppy. So if we can't get above that 3688.25, you know, we're in a little bit of a chop zone, and we could actually start to see a little bit of a pullback through that value area, right? It has not triggered the 80% rule yet for the value area. I think we have to get a little bit further into value. What the 80% rule is, again, giving a lot of education on the value areas in this video. 80% rule means once you enter the value area and establish yourself firmly, you could see there's an 80% chance that you're going to go from one end of the value area to the other. So it is not triggered yet, and we'll have to watch out for that tomorrow. All right. Again, if we get above 3688, you don't have to worry about that. We've got upside. Okay, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.